and we are Crossing the Chasm.
Crossing the chasm.
Crossing the chasm.
We're back,
Beautiful
guys.
intro.
It's been 2 weeks since we've dropped the podcast, so I'm excited to be here with you guys.
I'm ready, man. It's been an interesting few weeks.
Yes.
Very interesting.
All right. Let's get right into it, gentlemen. Topic we're going to start with is vaccines.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, what do you
Stabbing
think?
me with that already, man? We just got started.
Hopefully this
You
can
just got
stay.
jabbed.
Hopefully
Whoa.
this video will stay up on YouTube because I know you're technically not supposed to say the V word.
We're not making money yet, so they probably don't care what we
Yeah,
say.
that's true.
It's all good.
We're
ain't
under
got-
the radar.
The jabby.
I guess we just need to stay under 1,000 subscribers, and we won't get
That's our goal.
messed with.
Just
Yeah.
999.
Is that how you win now? Yeah.
No.
Stay not popular.
We got to get up on Rockfin.
Yep.
Got to get up on Patreon. A bunch of
Flow,
other places.
Odyssey.
Flow, yeah.
Yeah.
True that.
So vaccines. What do you guys think? You think you might actually risk it for the biscuit to take one if the time comes and you need to do something that's important? Or
I'm
what do you think
vaccine.
about
I'm vaccine agnostic. I neither believe or disbelieve in the validity of the vaccine, so I'm gonna stay out of it.
Well, it's like I was telling Matt before, so in 2018, I went to Nigeria and I got several vaccines. So I'm not against vaccines at all.
Yeah.
Is that like when you came
perfectable-
into the country, you had to get those or something?
It was before I left. Like I set up an appointment and got my vaccines. Because when I went to Nigeria in 2006, when I was 18, I got sick. I got malaria. And I lost a lot of weight. And it was just really rough, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was awful. So this time I was going, I was like, I'm definitely going to get some vaccines. So
Especially
I'm
for
not,
malaria.
yeah. So I'm definitely like not against vaccines in any way. It's just this particular vaccine.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been rushed. I've never heard of a vaccine coming out in like 9 months. It was
Yeah.
less than a year. Less than a year.
Well, it's not
all-
FDA approved. It's
Exactly.
emergency
No, and there's
approved.
been
Exactly.
over 4,000 people reported to be dead from adverse reactions.
Right.
And that's just 5% of what is actually reported. You know what I'm saying? It's I don't know. You're risking it either way, and I've always said, like, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. It's just I think we should have the choice, and we shouldn't trust these pharmaceutical companies that can't even make baby powder without being sued for billions of dollars.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
The biggest thing is just information. We just need more
Yeah.
information, and they're not being transparent at all about what's in the vaccines. How many times do you have to take them? Is it once a year, twice a year, every 2 years? You know, they got to be more specific.
Yeah.
I don't think they've done the proper testing to just push it out the
Not
way
at
they
all.
pushed it. Start giving people free donuts and stuff. You know,
when it's
And
about
French fries.
Creepy. You know,
Yeah.
it's a culture, culturally just pushing this thing. You know,
it's about risk management, really. It's like that's all life is like nothing's going to be guarantee you to be safe or guarantee you to be healthy or guarantee you to be rich, whatever. How much of Bitcoin do I want to have versus dollars? But if this virus, which is actually as dangerous as they say it is, which is not very dangerous at all, and unless you're like a really old person who is just as likely to die from
Or
the
obese.
vaccine to
Yeah.
Right.
something, anything. You could die any time of a heart attack or whatever. But it's 0.001 or something risk of dying from getting this virus. So why would I want to risk taking an untested vaccine when I'm not really at risk of dying in the first place? So just
Yeah,
like,
because
what-
you're risking your health with
Yeah.
the vaccine as well. It's something that's
Yeah.
not been tested.
you're being a guinea pig.
it goes against everything we've been taught from when we were a kid. We're always taught to do your research, do your information. You don't just buy a car without looking at, oh, this car is cool. I see it online. I'm just going to buy it. You don't buy a house
Right.
without inspecting it and being real thorough about it. You don't just date a girl or marry a girl. I just met her today. I think she's cool. I should just marry her. That's just fine.
We always
that's
do our
that's the
investigation.
approach they're taking with the vaccine. Just trust it, believe in it, don't question it. You don't need any information.
Well,
But what-
that's not their only strategy. It's like the strategy is everyone wants things to get back to normal. People are just stoked to take off the damn mask.
What is normal?
Yeah.
That's
People
my
like
question.
that's what I've
It's
heard
the
from
carrot and
several
the stick.
people.
The vaccine is the carrot. Like, ooh, come
Yeah.
on, get the vaccine. You'll be free. You can get out of your home now.
I mean, we go to church with someone who is having a really hard time right now. She's a teacher for like preschool kids at a private school. She makes barely any money for it, and she's very passionate about it. And they're literally coercing people to get the vaccine for a $50 bonus, and you don't have to wear the mask. How gross is that? And now they know who's vaxxed and who's not, and it's a separation, a segregation, and that's where we're headed. Like,
Yes.
That's where I see it going, is we're going to be completely segregated. There literally might be separate water fountains.
So my
soon.
opinion, do you guys think it was coerced to do that way? Like it's on purpose?
I think
Well,
Event
just look at
201
it-
probably.
Just look at it for what it is. They're paying people to take an experimental drug, like
Paying them
Yeah.
with donuts and French fries.
Yeah.
French fries.
and with like social, not manipulation, but what's the word? Like social stigma,
Validation?
social pressure,
Yes.
like people.
And
are-
validation as well.
Yeah. Well, and it's your job, so it's attached to what your money, which is your income and your life. So
Yeah, but there's this weird like virtue signaling about it. Like I feel like the mother of my child just got the first Pfizer vaccine yesterday, and she knows that there's something wrong with it. And she was kind of joking about it. She's like, I haven't done anything out of the ordinary in a while, so I'm going to do this only because I don't want to give it to my grandparents or something like that. But it's been proven time and time again, you can still transmit the virus when you have the vaccine. Like it's still possible.
yeah, you just
Yeah.
won't get infected yourself, but
This
you
is
could pass
this is
them.
the problem. People are like regurgitating information. Like, where did they get that fact? Where are the statistics that say that that information is true? That you're gonna give somebody COVID, if you don't get the vaccine.
Yeah,
just
and
the
I don't
news.
think there's any information like that people are soaking in about it. It's
It's just it's in the mainstream media. They're pushing it out constantly.
yeah, and it's also like a shame and a guilt tactic. Like if you didn't get the vaccine, then you hate your grandparents or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
You don't
look
care
at-
about other people.
Right. Selfish.
It's really horrible.
Yeah, it's terrible, man. It's just so divisive. It's just been a reflection of 2020, the whole year, and the George Floyd thing and the Black
Which
Lives
is the
Matter.
anniversary today.
Really?
George
Wow.
Floyd anniversary.
Yeah. Wow.
They literally made on the news a poster of him with his death like years or whatever. Like he
Birth
lived
and death.
this year
Yeah.
and he was dead this year, and said the legacy of George Floyd.
Legacy.
He has a
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I said. I think the legacy is really what the media trying to manipulate people. It's the anniversary of their legacy of trying to manipulate people's emotions and control people's minds, and using this man's death. Like, they don't care about George Floyd.
Right.
Like, none
Not
of the
at all.
media that's talking about it cares about him. They care about the way they can use him as a tool to manipulate people and divide the country. That's really what they're about.
They're good at it, though, man. I mean, every time I watch the news, I feel like I'm watching the same stories over and over. There was just another black guy in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, that just got shot. The story's not really big, but I feel like I'm in some type of big psyop, like
Yeah.
You are.
disillusioned from reality. Like every time I turn the news, it's just like the same old story over and over and over and
Yeah,
over.
it's
Does
very
not
repetitive.
feel like life doesn't really feel real. In
Makes
some
you feel like
sense.
a rat in a cage. a little bit.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Just a rat in a
Because we know the media has a certain agenda, and they're just following the script.
Yeah.
From the powers that be. We don't really know who that is, but they're definitely following a script.
That was a concept I wanted to bring up too. At Panopticon, have you guys ever heard that term
have
before?
not.
I have heard it. I do not know exactly what it means.
So it's like it was like an old, I forget when it was designed. I want to say like the 18 or 1900s, but it was an idea of a prison where the prisoners would feel like they were being watched all the time, regardless of where they were. So it was like a big tower in the center where all the guards were, and then all the prisoners were around the outside, and they could be watched at any time from the tower, and they never knew when they were being watched or not. But that's really what they've designed with like the cell phones and the different forms of surveillance that exist now where you can be watched anytime, or your internet activity, you never know when, someone's paying attention. But it makes you feel like a prisoner all the time because you're not sure like who's going to rat you out, who's watching me, am I, So they don't even have to watch you. They just create that feeling in the culture and people that kind of shuts people up.
I think that's kind of what Edward Snowden's role 100%. Was within this community. Like, I think he brought some good truth, but we already knew that. Like, conspiracy theorists were already freaking out about it. He confirmed it.
Yeah.
And now he's like sitting there on Joe Rogan. He hasn't had any problems against him. I think he's full of shit.
What's his name? Snowed in. He makes people feel trapped in their own. It's like, is it a psyop? Is he also a psyop?
Yeah,
I gotta wonder.
I don't know.
That's a really funny synchronicity.
I mean, that's what the CIA does too. They do wordplay, like silly, stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, and speaking of,
not saying that's true, but look, it's right there.
Speaking of the CIA and
NSA,
what you were saying, repetition.
Okay.
Right.
I found out not too long ago that one of the original MK Ultra projects for the CIA, like back in the late 50s, early 60s, one of the first things they did was lay people in a bed and keep them sleeping while listening to 2 or 3 sentences,
looping over and over,
like 52,000 times.
Yeah. And they would use their own words.
It's probably more than that.
They would sometimes record that person's own words and like play it back to them and like change like the.
They were very into repetition. And look at how pop music has evolved these days. Like a chorus for most songs in hip hop and pop are less than 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Very repetitive.
Yeah.
I mean, even within worship music, but like.
Well, yeah.
I think there's a technology.
I whip my hand back and forth. I whip my hand back and forth.
and you know what? That song will just crush. It like
it will
get 10 million views. Like,
no, that repetition, it really affects us, and we don't really realize it. And then you'll wake up with that song in your head, and you're just like, why?
Yeah.
And if there's a good message, cool. I'm glad I jammed that into my brain. But if there's
are you
Gucci gang, 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 Gucci gang.
Nice.
Absolutely. No, I agree.
Then maybe
what
tomorrow
are you
I might want to
mind?
buy Gucci and be in a gang,
Right.
I think it really works like that.
It definitely works in the
people.
hip hop community a lot. Yeah, they're very influenced by the music. They live, and it's really big for them to like live the life they're talking about, they're rapping about.
You're not real if you're not really shooting people down and
selling
drive-bys
drugs,
and
all
like
that. Yeah.
Dude,
I heard that Tupac never got arrested until he became a rapper. He was like a really smart, good actor and student.
Yeah.
Tupac was an actor and a dancer at an art school before he did the gangster rap thing.
He was privileged.
He made a character of it. Like he was literally acting. And then he just kind of became it.
Yeah, he did little by little.
And I've been listening to the history of the Beastie Boys. It's called No Dogs in Space. Plug.
Nice.
It's a really good podcast where they break down like different bands and stuff like that. Is so good. I don't know if you guys ever listened to Last Podcast on the Left.
I've heard of it. My
they're really huge on Spotify. Okay. But they usually do like horror stories and like paranormal breakdowns and stuff of things, cults and all that. But one of the members of that started a podcast with his wife, No Dogs in Space. And man,
No Dogs in Space.
No Dogs in Space. That's a cool name.
I wonder if that's a reference to the Russians sending a dog into space. Do you guys know about that?
Yeah,
I did not.
Before they sent a human up, they sent a dog up to see if they would like come back alive. Basically, like
I thought they sent the dog into space knowing that the dog wouldn't.
I think
they did it just to do it.
That might have been, or they were just seeing,
Space is fake.
There was such a
to see what the effects would be.
Yes, and there was such a race. Yeah. Just to first this in space.
Well, because they wanted to test it on animals before they sent a human up. Funny enough.
Right.
Anyway, sorry, I cut you off. The No Dogs in Space podcast. I just want to
finish a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Beastie Boys were some of the original gangster rappers. When they released License to Ill.
I have that album. Yeah.
It's such a great album, but they were one of the first rappers to actually talk about like hurting people and drugs, like angel dust and stuff like that. Literally, Ice Cube gave them homage. And some of the original gangster rap
I did not know that.
Me neither.
people. Yeah, I didn't either. This was crazy.
No, because I
They
thought they were
sampled
like
Beastie Boys a lot.
party rappers. You know, they were
Well, they
talking
were.
about partying.
They
and
made it a
drinking.
little harder than the
That's what
like.
gangster rap really is.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean,
Well, because
It
before
all-
that it
kind
was
of
like
ties in really
Yeah.
that whole lifestyle.
I just thought that was bizarre that Ice Cube like
interesting.
gave them homage.
That's cool. A lot of people respect the Beastie Boys in the hip hop community. They get a lot of respect.
And Rick Rubin was behind all that. Rick Rubin and
really good producer.
Rick Rubin was like the brains of like the technical musical part.
Yeah,
And then you had
and
Russell
he is a good
Simmons
producer.
that was like the business guy. And they joined forces and made Def Jam.
Damn.
It's such an interesting story to me.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what that really ties into, but
Yeah, where
thought
did
it
that
was
come
really
from?
cool.
I don't even remember how we got on that.
No.
well, we were talking about culture. Right?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
like,
Culture
the-
kind of ties into like communities and trying to be self-sufficient and create communities that what we lack today. You know?
Yeah, and that's how hip hop started. Was
Right.
they wanted to bring the community together. It started with block parties. It started with like families getting together and jamming out with like different records and stuff like that. So I guess it ties in that way.
No, it does
to
tie
something
in.
else we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
which
Well, music
is-
brings people together. That's for sure. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that helps create real culture and can unite people instead of just dividing over.
Right. They say like if you want to evaluate a time, you base it based on the music and how the music is portrayed. 70s, you know, the hippie movement, 80s, America
Oh, I remember what I was saying.
becoming like more tech savvy. The 90s, you had like Nirvana and like grunge rock and Nickelodeon, and things just started like just transitioning.
Hip hop came
Hip-hop,
in there.
yeah,
really
hip hop as
heavy.
well. Yeah.
Well, it used to be you only had like 3 TV stations and like 1 radio station, and like that was all you heard.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
it would shut off for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And now it's like
Now it's hundreds
have
of
too much.
channels, infinite like internet
Too much
websites,
information.
So like everything's just dispersed. So there's no like one thing that everyone's tuning into, and that's kind of that's where like a lot of the mainstream media gets its power today, because that's one of the few things that like a lot of people, if not most people, tune into and at least are aware of what is being
Right.
talked about by the politicians and the media. Other than that, everything is like really split up. Even sports that have really become like not as popular
yeah,
as they
their-
used to
their
be,
ratings-
and they're
their
kind of
ratings are
breaking that up,
terrible.
which was a unifying thing for people, was their sports teams and whatnot.
That's a good point.
I
And-
think. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Okay. And to piggyback off of that, there's like a podcast I listened to recently with somebody who was older. They were saying how like we did only have like 3 channels and it was only on like 10 hours of the day back in the day, and the shows used to unite people.
Yeah.
Like you watched the Hulk or you watched Andy Griffith and you had something to talk about. Now everything is so compartmentalized. Like, are you a Game of Thrones fan? Are you
Yeah.
a Stranger Things fan? Or
No, I'm over
are
here
you
doing my thing. you're
How I
over-
Met Your
yeah.
Mother fan or something
Yeah,
like that?
there's so much.
Or no,
out
I'm
there.
a
You could
gamer and
spend-
I only play RPGs, and you're into first person shooters. I don't.
It's a whole nother
So
level.
many options of
yeah.
everything.
Right. You
that-
could spend all day, 24/7, trying to watch as much content out there, and you,
You could
wouldn't even
never do it in a million
sniff.
years. What is it, like
surface
a
of it.
billion hours are uploaded
Yeah,
to YouTube
yeah,
every
so
day
it's-
of content? It's not a billion probably, but it's up there.
Wild.
Yeah.
And I just wonder why it's become so interesting to watch other people play video games. Like, I really cannot
I feel like a
understand
lot
that.
of that has to do with the comment section, and people like to troll.
Chatting.
Yeah, people like to
because
chat.
people
It's the
that like the
communication.
video
It's
game.
honestly.
Well, sometimes
it's like
they
a
make community around that person.
Exactly.
They will. Yeah.
absolutely.
You're right.
And the chat has that, and it
Yeah.
provides that opportunity for
You're
people.
right.
That's why
And
a
if-
lot of people don't like what the Rogan podcast has become.
Yeah.
Because now that it's on Spotify
Yeah,
and not on
true,
YouTube,
true.
you can't go in the comment section and comment on the video, your own input and ideologies and stuff like that.
That's what first got me on the internet when I had my 56K modem. Like, I would download songs and whatnot, but like when I got really into like Cowboy Bebop, like the anime, and I found like there was this website called Jazz Mess. It was like they had uploaded
That sounds very sexual.
It was Jazz Messenger. It was like the point of it, Jazz Mess. But they had uploaded all of, wow, I see what you're saying. They had uploaded all of the soundtrack, which it had a great soundtrack, so that got me in there. But they had a message board, and like I was like a 14, 15-year-old kid, and most of the people on there I think were adults. And I was like having like adult conversations with them, like about the show, and just they had sub forums where you could just talk about life, and there was like real people on there.
And forums were so cool.
People would take me seriously. I could actually have like engaging conversations with people, and I didn't feel like a stupid like 15-year-old kid, you know, because like I was thinking, and people were treating me like an adult if I acted like one, you know. So I understand that community that people are looking for. That's a huge thing that's happening on the internet.
That's
like
exactly where we're
connecting.
Yeah, that reminds me of this forum I used to look at about like 17, 18, 19. When I first started getting into conspiracy theories and stuff, there was a Godlike Productions.
I followed.
And man,
Godlike.
that was the best forum.
Is it not around
ever?
anymore?
Like literally,
I think it's gone.
It's still there,
Is
but
it?
it's like extremely white supremacist and gross.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It
It's
is
been taken over.
so terrible.
Yeah.
I will not go there again.
Heard that.
What kind of
it
stuff
is
were on the
awful.
forum before?
Just crazy
they would-
conspiracy theory stuff.
Crazy
like,
conspiracy theories, but they would lay out their ideas.
Yeah.
And everybody would break it down.
They thought it
there were
too
people who
seriously.
were like meteorologists and stuff, and like tracking all the hurricanes.
Damn.
And like I would know that there was a hurricane
I feel
20
like
minutes ago.
I feel like
and
in
what
those
it
forums
did.
you find
Yeah.
a lot of truth. You feel like people are being honest and
Oh,
genuine.
dude, there was so much.
They're not
back
just
then.
they're not trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
You know, they're not trying to put on a facade.
Yeah.
This is just
Which is
real.
what Facebook is now, because it's attached to your real name, and you know all your normal real life friends.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I didn't put my normal name on there.
Yeah, there you go. Right. No, that's exactly right. Yeah, I've got that. I still have that old school like feel. That's why I will talk to people on Facebook about stuff, even if they get pissed off, because I just like talking to. I just think of it as the old school internet still, where I'm just like,
yeah.
I don't take it that seriously.
Yeah, you
but
get
yet it's
wild
like,
on there sometimes.
Man, I'm just honest. Like, and if people are like rude to me, I'll be rude back to them. Like, I don't pretend
Right.
to like be the better man or whatever. I'm just like,
Well, the
you're-
reason why Facebook's changed like that is because people have become so docile and they've
Yeah.
allowed it. You know what I mean? If you don't allow behavior like that, you know, wokeism won't continue. You know what I mean? You have to just put a stop to it. You know, just continue being yourself. You know, don't fall into their ideologies.
Yeah, I can't. That's the thing. Like, I've never been afraid. Well, I wouldn't say never, because there was a point where I lost a lot of friends and it sucked. But I realized it didn't really suck, because like, if someone doesn't like you for who you are, or doesn't even know who you are because you're not being your real self, they're not even your friend. They're friends with a fake version of yourself or an imagined version of yourself. And then if they reject the real you, then you didn't really lose anything. You just learned the truth of the situation, that they weren't really your friend. you know?
That's why this podcast has been so crucial for me, because like I can actually be myself. I can express my thoughts, and like we've all become really good friends over this. It's like a conversation that you wouldn't normally have. If, oh, you're just at church or you're at work or anything like that.
It's scary to bring
an
stuff
honest
up.
conversation.
It's hard to have some of these
appreciate that.
conversations with just normal everyday people. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to touch the vaccines. They don't want to touch George Floyd, racism in America. All these topics are just very taboo.
Yeah, we
Stay
had to
away
get a
from them.
token black guy just to be able to talk about it.
Right? who plays the bass
Wait a minute.
Man, you took it further.
in basketball? But
But no,
We'll
for
have to
real,
talk
it's
about
like we need open conversation, and I love that that's why you guys started this podcast in the first place, because like, you know, I think most people agree on a lot of things. They're just made to demonize people and see them a certain way. It's like reality tunnels, which I can't remember if we talked about on this podcast or a different one, but just like ways of seeing the world kind of locks you into reality tunnel, which everything you're taking in gets translated by your version of reality.
Yep.
And people get locked in, and they like get scared of people that their reality tunnel conflicts with mine, so I can't listen to what they're saying, and you know, they see you as a demon Nazi from hell instead of just another human being with
That's
different
why-
opinions.
That's why I've tried to plow the entire mountain instead of having just one reality tunnel. I've just been like, I'm cracking, bitch.
Right.
Let's get that TNT, motherfucker. Yeah. I like that metaphor. That's
We've
good.
become a society where we disagree with a person, not so much with their ideas. I know, like, I'm not crazy about Candace Owens, but she says a lot of really smart, intelligent
She's pretty on
things.
point.
Absolutely.
I was very
so does,
suspicious of her because she came in from the left, actually, and kind of changed her mind. And I've wondered if she was an agent, but she seems
Yeah, a
pretty
lot of
genuine.
people think she's pandering
She
hardcore.
seems genuine, but yeah, and I'm...
Especially since she has like one of the biggest selling books of all time.
Yeah.
Right.
When she first got popular,
I don't
she
know.
was from the left, and she was trying to make a website that would dox people and dox primarily Republicans. Like she like created this weird, and then she got so much backlash from it. But then she came back as a I think she like actually changed her mind. So I don't know.
Yeah,
You can
I'm
never
pretty
know what's in
convinced.
someone's
I've
heart.
listened to a lot of interviews.
But my
She
whole
seems
thing is
genuine.
I'm trying not to judge the person. I'm just what do they have to say?
Yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
hear what they have to
100%.
say.
That's a
Yeah.
really good point.
100%.
Absolutely.
Take
yeah.
their information in instead of trying to
Destroying the person.
break everything down
Right.
about them.
Yeah. And you can learn from anyone, even someone that you completely disagree with has
Absolutely.
something of value to say, even if 90% of it is evil or wrong. There's still something there because they're a human being, you know. So you can learn something from that.
Absolutely.
So
That's
just
the whole
immediately
thing.
shutting people down. That's why I've always been against any cancellation. Like even people that I 100% agree with, neo-Nazis, 100% like leftist socialists, I disagree with all of them 100%. But like they should all be allowed to say what they want to say, and we should be allowed to talk about it, you know. Because if we lose that, that's what makes America special, and that's what makes, you know, the freedoms that we do have, however you want to cynically look at them, are valuable
What
because
freedoms?
we
Absolutely.
have open dialogue and can talk about stuff.
Which is why I still want to have some of these challenging interviews
Yeah.
that me and him have been talking about for a
Right.
while. We want a cop on
Ah, we got to do it.
ASAP.
Yeah.
Get Antifa and a cop on the same episode to talk to
NBLM.
each other.
NBLM.
That's in the future.
Yeah.
Well, that's next
Let's
level.
start
That's
with
next
just
level.
a cop.
Just a cop. Yeah.
One thing at a time. One thing at a time. I like that though.
We might have to do that in my office.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
You know, some
Comfortable environment.
things.
Yeah,
that
no,
are
no, I
comfortable for a
got you.
cop
Yeah.
to be around. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
True.
Absolutely.
All right. Also, I wanted to interview a Satanist really bad.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, luckily you have one right here. No, I'm kidding.
You're far from it, man.
No.
Far from it.
And that's funny. I've heard some like very rational Satanists that didn't seem that crazy either, but were like,
No, there's some rational ones.
yeah,
There's two different versions.
there's
of Satanism,
different versions
or
of that.
Actually,
too.
more than that.
Probably,
Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I've studied a lot of that stuff for
Yeah.
a while. Yeah. In certain instances, it isn't as bad as people make it out to be, and then in certain instances,
It is.
it's
worse. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I think the real Satanists are usually the ones that are disguised under some other like veil. Like they say they're the
Amen.
Pope. They say they're the Pope and they love God.
Wow.
Or
That's
something
Probably
like
one of the
Could
worst
be.
Satanists.
Yeah, now we're
all
gonna
time.
get canceled. All right.
But I think we also wanted to talk about like trying to build small communities. Because we know and we see where America's headed. We see how divisive everything is. We see how they're pushing everyone in a corner. We see how like if you don't get the vaccine, there's certain things you can't do. We know we have to, you know, Matt was saying like we have to become friends with our neighbor. We have to know our neighborhood.
It's the
We
only
have
way
to
we're going to
just
survive.
build communities within, you know. Just something our culture today is truly lacking. Because I'll be honest, like, I don't know anyone in my neighborhood at all.
Yeah. No, it's like turn
I've
off
been doing much better with that.
off all your power and look around, and that's what you got. Really, at the end of the day, it's like who's around
Yeah.
you and what's in your home. That's really all that's real. Everything else is like really can be taken away very quickly.
Shoot, how impactful was it that the lightning did strike
Yeah.
last podcast and flickered everything? Imagine if that cut it off for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like,
it could happen.
literally could happen.
It could happen.
that instantly,
Right.
Especially with EMPs and
Look what happened
You just
at
don't even know.
Texas earlier in the year.
True.
Well, they didn't have power for, what was it, like a week? That little snowstorm they had.
then what is Bitcoin then? What is fiat currency then? What is any of it then? You know what there is food, shelter, friendship and
people.
community.
Yeah.
It's people
Oh, you're right.
100%.
coming
You're
together.
right.
So I think that's the most valuable currency because, like you said in your podcast about Bitcoin, when you were talking about like what currency is,
Yeah.
it's a current of action and energy and time.
Mm-hmm.
And if we spend that with each other, actually building things,
Mm-hmm.
trading back and forth, that's the real currency.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that's why I've always been so like not anti-Bitcoin because I see the value in it,
Mhm.
but like cryptocurrency isn't the savior we all believe it is because it's locked into that and it can be literally turned off in an instant by an act of God or by an act of human. So I
Well, I don't
just
be-
want to
yeah.
warn against thinking that that's going to do that.
I
That's
would
just
warn
been my
against
main
thinking anything is going to be your savior. Honestly, like nothing is going to like solve all your
No
problems.
thing is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no.
I agree.
It's just the best form of money and asset that's ever been created. That
I agree
doesn't
with you,
mean
especially
that
after
doesn't
research.
mean that it's gonna like solve everything instantly and like make you a millionaire and like no, it's just the best version of a technology that's been
Yeah.
invented so far. Of this certain thing.
Totally agree. But I just
yeah.
can't tell you how many people I've heard.
Well, there's two
saying
different things that's happening because one thing. This is what I wanted to talk about Bitcoin. Actually, I'm glad you brought it up.
Nice segue.
Because there's two separate things that are happening at the same time, and people are getting them confused. So the first thing that happened is that Bitcoin has created, like I said, the hardest asset, the hardest form of currency that's ever been created that can't be manipulated by governments and banks. Blah blah blah. You've probably heard some kind of spiel about it. The other thing that's happening at the same time is our currency is becoming worthless and people are doing crazy things with their money, which means stocks are going to go crazy, like game stonks and all these things that's happening on Reddit. There's going to be all these bullshit cryptocurrencies that people are putting millions into, like Dogecoin and MoonSafe and
Moonsafe,
Elon.
I
There's
like
one
that
called
better than Safe
Elon
Moon.
Gate. There's one. They're ridiculous names that are like gaining so much value. There's one called Cum Rocket. I'm not
There's
even
literally
kidding.
one called Titties too.
Yeah, they're like porn coins. So like, look, people are doing stupid things with their money, and Bitcoin is going to get caught up in this slightly. But
Yeah.
Bitcoin has value for what it is. But there's also this insanity in the market that's happening right now because our societies are getting screwed over by governments and getting locked down and getting free money from the government, and they're inflating the currency to nothing. So people are trying to do things with their money that's becoming worthless to give it value, and so they're going to do stupid things with it, which means you're going to see crazy spikes and crashes in prices. But that's what I'm encouraging people to separate that from the value of what Bitcoin is versus the
Yeah.
insanity in the market, because it's going to get somewhat mixed up in there. And, like things like Elon and people tweeting things that affect prices. This is because there's thousands of morons out there that just like flock to whatever new thing
Yes,
somebody says.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that's going to affect whatever you're holding that may.
Still can't believe he was on SNL.
It's so
It was awful.
stupid.
It was
It's so
awful.
ridiculous.
He wasn't
stupid.
funny at all.
It's just sad, yeah. But yeah, that's my spiel on that. I agree. It's
Okay.
not a savior. It's not solving all your problems. It's just an amazing invention that's really important.
I guess my main point is like I didn't get into it because I think using that much time and energy to
Learn it.
learn it and try and figure it out and invest into it, I could invest into
Garden.
learning how to hunt, buying plants, buying seeds, buying stocked up food, getting to know my neighbors more, building a underground community that we can all be a part of, becoming a part of a militia. I'm
Build
just
an
kidding.
underground community.
Sounds like you're starting a cult, Matt.
Oh shit!
Not gonna lie.
Oh shit!
Just joking, man.
Everybody should love the universe.
Let's sing our song now, everyone.
Mushrooms.
No, but you're totally right. Like those basic, values we used to have, we don't have anymore. I don't know how to.
That's
like,
true.
If I had a garden right now, I don't know what to do. I don't know the first thing to do. I don't know
Yeah.
how to hunt. I've only shot a gun like once in my life. So
Part of that just
Yeah.
comes from living in the city. Like
Yeah,
it's a
I do.
different society. It's a different culture. Like we would have to restructure society entirely to live completely apart from that, and maybe we
Yeah.
will have to in the future. but that's like the way society has evolved has like caused us to like these huge masses of people to live in tightly packed cities and raise populations and have a lot of kids in an area that are not really natural, because you have to have crazy food coming from somewhere else and energy coming from somewhere else to keep these cities going. And so it's like it's never really been done on this scale before as it has like in the past since the Industrial Revolution.
Kind of, in Rome.
Yeah, but not even,
But it wasn't
it's like since the
nearly
industrial,
on this scale.
it's to a next level, because of fossil fuels, which everyone wants to hate against. But fossil fuels are the reason there are so many people on the planet right now, because they're able to keep people warm in the cold. They're able to help create crops all over the planet. They're able to do all these things that we need. And that's why you can't just go full green energy either, because thousands and millions and billions of people would die if we all of a sudden switch to clean energy, because it doesn't provide you enough energy to feed all the people that now exist because of
it's
oil.
more or less just better as a supplement.
Yeah.
I'm going to close on this one little statement, and you guys can make your closing statements if you want. But I really think within the next 10 years, what we're going to see is the city is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and some of them falling to the wayside. But like you're going to see like metropolises just pop up.
Like get even
like
more
certain
extreme.
areas. Yeah. And then you're going to see people either completely disconnect and spread out to the massive amount of land that's all over the United States. And then you're going to see people flocking to the cities and wanting to plug right into the smart cities and
virtual reality.
I mean, that's really coming. I mean, we already kind of see it. It's not like some weird sci-fi futuristic.
Yeah, no, the
thing.
trends
This
will
is what
continue.
they want.
Yeah, the more
Watch
people
Hunger
in the
Games
city will
again.
get more and more disconnected, and as it's more bleak around them in real life, they'll get more into like virtual worlds and like
But no, Hunger Games definitely portrays it the way I see it.
I kind of see people leaving the traditional lifestyle, working a 9-to-5 job, buying a house, and just living the American dream. I think you're going to see a lot of millennials, or the Zoomers, they call them, retire early in their late 30s, early 40s, and just roam the earth.
disconnect.
Yeah, just disconnect, get an RV, maybe buy a plot of land in Nevada, and just, save up enough money so they could just live their lives freely. Because my brother was saying in Oregon, he knew like people that became millionaires off of cryptocurrencies, and they just like live in an RV.
Nice.
That's all they do. Yeah.
It's a good way to spend it.
I think you're going to see Bitcoin cities, that people that actually adopt it and cities that accept it, and they're going to like cause a lot of new innovation like the next
Like
century.
Miami, right?
Yeah, because they're going to be dealing with real money and not getting fiat from the government and subsidized bullshit. They're going to actually be using wealth that they've generated, and they're going to create new ways of doing things, I think. I think that's going to be how the next century, whether it's connected to Bitcoin or whatever, it's just going to be new ideas and people just saying, okay, yeah, the world's doing this, but we're going to like figure something else out and not just say, government, please give me my next paycheck so that I can, because there's going to be a lot more of that too, a lot more welfare.
UBI
a lot more
is gonna be a
UBI is
thing.
coming. This whole thing was like a test for UBI and how much do people don't want to work right now and they won't.
Subconsciously, I kind of want it. I'm not gonna lie.
And and you're aware of it. So imagine how strong that is for people that don't even know that taxation is theft, and they're just like, yeah, this is good, right? This is utopia. I've always told utopia might come. Here's utopia. Give me money and I'll play Xbox. But yeah, so there's going to be both. There's going to be really good things. There's going to be really bad things, and just, stay awake.
Could lead to an eventual war.
Maybe. There's always.
Also, there's one last little thing I want to throw out there.
Yeah.
We looked at some statistics in the meeting today at church, and church attendance is down by like 30% in the entire country.
I'm actually surprised it's not worse, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty bad. But
it's bad, but
it was worse.
Yeah.
And also the birth rate and the rate of Generation Z.
This is probably
I don't know what
really bad, isn't it? This is
almost
really bad.
none of them want to have kids. Basically.
Yeah.
and the birth
The
rate is going
indoctrination
down.
is strong.
Even Elon Musk commented on that one time about the birth rate just plummeting. He's not worried about population control.
Ladies, I'm single. I'm looking to make some babies. Hit me up.
Nice.
We need a new generation.
Yes.
Watch Children of Men. That's what's happening.
Great movie, but horrifying.
movie.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I never thought that was possible, and now
We're
I'm just
really there, but
close.
voluntarily. More
Right.
than it's not. They didn't even have
Right.
to sterilize us. They just had to make us not want to have kids.
It's working.
That's wild.
It's working.
It's wild.
you got like more asexual people
Yeah.
than has ever been.
My ex-fiance was asexual. At least she
Wow.
claimed to be. But yeah, you're right.
All right. So on that note, I hope everyone is blessed and will be a blessing this week.
Go hug
We
someone
love
you
you.
love.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Talk to your neighbor.
Make amends to people you've hurt
Yep.
Bird up.
By the dip.
By the dip.
because life
Few.
is short.
Laser eyes.
We love you guys.
We'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.